And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, September 29th, 2019. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with, well, a guy who's traveled down the last, I'd say, what, 9 of the last 13 years of doing this program. In some
It's
sort.
been a while.
Yeah. Yes, it has.
Oh, how's it going, Steve?
It's going wonderful, my man. What a busy and great week it's been. Got a lot of stuff to catch up on. We haven't been on for a couple of weeks because I had stuff going on. I've been, working my tail off, and sometimes when your own business gets inundated with work, you've got to kind of adjust. So let's throw up some hellos to folks. And hello, Rick. How are you tonight? Over on Facebook. Here's a good one. We got James from Australia. Hello, down under.
Hey, James.
Good to hear from you, James. Thanks for stopping in. Of course, we got Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
He says, "What's up, guys? My cholesterol." And hello from Cryptidville.
Cryptidville.
And I'm sure the rest of our cast of characters and our regulars will be filing in very shortly. So,
well, you had a busy weekend so far.
I sure did, and you know what? This week was the let's see if it pops up there, the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival, and it was an awesome time, I gotta say. And you know what? I forgot to mute the bird clock tonight, so. So let the cardinal play. All right.
Oh yeah.
And but anyway, yep. And not to mention, now just less than 2 weeks away will be the oops, and that one showed up over there. There it is. The Chautauqua Lake Bigfoot Expo. And that's just a very short time away. It'll be me, Paul Bartholomew, Doug Waller. I don't know who else is going to be there, but we'll find out. And we'll actually be doing we'll be able to do a lot more videos there than we were yesterday at the Whitehall Bigfoot Festival. I will have some of the calling contest video up soon. So it's just a matter of transferring some of that to the phone and stuff. I was going to shoot that in but the problem is I really wanted to do the contest with my camera, and with my mic system and whatever. But the problem was, I was so swamped yesterday. I mean, I got there, the event started at 10 o'clock, and I don't know what time. I don't know what time I even shot the video that I did. But I know it was like a few hours, because it was I was just a
lot of people.
Yeah. So just unreal. So anyway, we got a few more people saying hello. So let's go say hello. Debbie, hello from Debbie. Hi,
Debbie.
Sandra Woolley, Washington. Hello.
Woolley, Washington. Yeah.
Good. And we got Keith.
Washington
Hello,
State.
Keith. How are you? And Dave D'Ambra. Yes, we saw you. I met Dave yesterday at the Whitehall Festival. Glad to see you here. We're going to be showing some of that video. And Dean, good old Dean, said hello. And Tim Fasano. Tim Fasano piped in and talking about Rick Dyer's posting this, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? Tim don't believe half of everything Rick says right now. The crew didn't know. The only one that really knew was Tom. But I'm not going to get into all that. I mean, that's old news now. And whether I knew or not was unclear. Well, okay. Let's say if I thought it was a hoax. Where did I promote it? I didn't. I'm the one who busted. I'm the one who called them out. I'm the one who stopped it. Otherwise, you would have been watching the Bigfoot autopsy video while saying, "Oh, I think it's fake."
Yeah.
So, and there's my buddy Joey Lowell from Salem, Oregon. Joey and I have been in the field together, and I remember this awesome night. There was an overhang and a cliff, and Joey and I were stationed down at the bottom, and something was chucking rocks at us from the top of the cliff. It was pretty cool, and we were some distance away from the bottom of the cliff. So I mean, it wasn't just stuff falling down. I mean, we were, so they would have to have thrown. That was a very interesting night. We could see shadows moving up on top of the cliff. That was really cool. So hello, Joey. Good to see you, my brother.
Oregon, anyway, good Squatchy state.
Yeah, awesome stuff. But I think we may go out of order tonight. Since we're talking about the Whitehall Bigfoot Festival, I did shoot a little bit of video there. It's just a little stuff for fun. I'm going to keep. And hello, Pat. Good to see you, Pat, over on YouTube.
That's right.
So I'm glad to see YouTube has checked in on the Mike. So we got a couple people on YouTube, Encryptedville's on YouTube. So we got a few on YouTube saying hello. All right, I'm gonna just roll the video from the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival. Of course, it was. I was going to do something kind of pretty with it, but I think the raw video will just be enough. So let's go with that.
Yeah, let's just see it. Yeah.
So here we are at the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival, enjoying the good times as we see. And this is just a tremendous event. As you can see, the place is packed. There's Brian Goslin over there, telling his stories and tales. There's our table. Our good friend from the Vermont Trail Camp photo, there's Frank Cicieński. I don't know where Paul Barthelemy is hiding. I don't know if he left or not, actually. But anyway, see all these folks. And of course, I put my Sasquatch up here, and everybody wants a picture with him. So yeah, there's a cheap promotional plug for me. People can't hear what I'm saying, but you guys can hear me just fine on speaker. There's everybody. And look, over here we even have a chimp and a Bigfoot. Oh, I know this character.
Oh, I've been there so many times. President? Hey,
how's it going, Jason? We're taking pictures by the Sasquatch statue up here in town. And up there is where everybody's having a meeting. But this place is just phenomenal. We're just looking at the Bigfoot area. We haven't even gone into the vendor area. And over here there's some live music going on. And this is all before the contest, which is going to be tonight. So tonight the contest will be awesome. We'll get some video of that. I'll be emceeing it. There's plenty to eat. And as you can see, there is just a tremendous vendor area. This festival has boomed. As you can see, just a tremendous event. And there's more food here than there was last year. Kids bounce house. And just what a cool event. So we'll catch y'all in a bit as I'm going to go get something to eat. I'm kind of hungry. So there you have it. What a time that was, though. Just a real cool event.
there is a lot of people there. Look at all those tents set up, man.
Oh yeah, the place was packed. I mean, there had to be at one point like 500 people just there, and the neat thing is that they just weren't there all day. So I mean, people were constantly changing out, and literally when we did the Sasquatch calling contest, I emceed it again for the second year in a row. I always have a lot of fun doing it. Yeah, there are some people that love to ham it up, and it's really funny. We had a guy that was actually acting like Grumpy Cat when he did his Sasquatch call, which is kind of funny. He was holding a Grumpy Cat doll, and
oh man. Well, in Kentucky we do things like hog calling contests at the fair and stuff,
So
and that's hilarious.
Wait, Tim says, if any of these people found evidence of Bigfoot, do they go out and hang around in the woods, or do they just go to conventions and hang out? You will find Bigfoot in the woods. Just my opinion. Well, I'm going to call it like I see it. Yeah, no shit, Tim. And you don't know these people. And yes, they go out in the woods, and yes, they collect evidence. So, in fact, I didn't have time to shoot Brian's table full of cast, including one he got a few months ago. So yeah, and guess what? My season starts in another week. So, and
I think these little festivals, these little get-togethers, I think it's good because the researchers and a lot of them, everybody's an amateur because who's sponsored by big organizations? Nobody. Everybody's paying their own bills. And so they get something together that they can all get together and, hey, look what I got. I got this last week or a couple of months ago. Check this out. It gives researchers a chance to share.
I just can't take people with sour grapes. Then that's all you do is hang out. No, actually no. But you know what? This is a perfect segue into something I wanted to talk about tonight. And that was the 5 tenets of Bigfoot research. Remember we had talked about that a little while back?
Yeah.
And of course, B says hello to everybody.
Hey, hi, B.
So yes, do any of these people, have any of these people found evidence of Bigfoot? Yes, actually, they have. Jason has some recordings. I have cast and recordings and thermal, and Brian has a bunch of casts and some audio recordings too. Paul Bartholomew has a ton of stuff that he's collected over the years. So yeah, and this
I think
happens
it's probably
once
just
a
about
year,
right? Yeah, I think it's just about like any other get together. You're going to have people there that are just kind of interested in the subject,
right? And
they want to see what's going on, and you'll have people there that actually may have seen something they don't understand, and they're there to try to find out a little information. Exactly. And then you got your regular guys that that go out in the woods, when their season comes in. And
newsflash, just a newsflash, that was a festival, not a convention, not a conference.
Yeah.
None of those people are Bigfoot researchers. Only a few of us were.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But promote, educate. That's one of the things. You got to educate the people about the Sasquatch, and try to answer questions if you can. There's a lot of questions that I'd love to have answered.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, nobody knows yet, but maybe one day.
Exactly. And well, here's the thing. When like I was talking about the 5 tenets, and do I have them in my talk item folder? That'd be really interesting. I don't. I thought I listed them, but I don't. But anyway, well, we're gonna go a little out of order tonight, so I'm just gonna pop this up real fast, and I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna pause this real quick. Okay, so up here on the screen, I have what I consider the 5 tenets of Bigfoot research. Cryptoville said, "What? Chris isn't an expert?"
No, I never claimed to be an expert. Never. No.
So anyway, one of the things I talk about, and it's the baseline of, is the 5 tenets of Bigfoot research. I consider my 5. It's my mission statement. And number
Yeah.
one is to keep an open mind. And by keeping an open mind, it allows you to see what others may miss. So don't rule out everything necessarily. But two, remain objective. An open mind doesn't mean compromising reality. And that's basically the whole thing behind the Stop the Lunacy. Let's stop compromising reality and saying that Bigfoot can, blink of an eye can disappear, cloak and all that other crazy stuff. There's reasons for that. And there's scientific reasons for things people perceive they see. Not necessarily see, but perceive they see. Again, always tell the truth. Honesty is the best policy. Never be afraid to report results that are negative towards your quest. That proves objectivity. Very important.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get some hair and it turns out to be a deer, tell everybody it was from a deer.
Yep. Number 4, responsibility to educate. Educating people about the phenomenon is a responsibility, not an option. I feel there's too much misinformation, wrong information, and that's part of the thing we do we should be doing is going out there and putting the best information out there, the right information out there. It's okay to say, hey, you know what? I have no idea. That's okay. Do it. And of course, number 5, expose the charlatans. Part of education is exposing the harbingers that bring junk science and misnomers to the world of Bigfoot research. That means hoaxers, people that say they're going out and doing research and not, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The people trying to make money from it are suspect, in my opinion. You got to really watch those people that try to make money from it.
Okay, well, here we go.
Joey
says, I've been doing research for 20 years, and I have seen this turn into nothing but a money tree, and other people stealing work from other researchers have done, and I have heard a lot saying they are pros. I myself do not go to these things. And you know what? Again, this is not a conference. This is a festival. This is a public event. This is billed as a fun event. There's more vendors there than that. But as far as a money grab, let's face it, I ain't making a living selling, a few bucks at a Bigfoot festival. And again, that all goes back to number 4, responsibility to educate. I wrote something that is educational, I believe.
Yeah, but Steve, the thing is, though, you could put all the money that you've made from Bigfoot in one column and all the money you've spent investigating Bigfoot in another column, and you're not in a money-making business here. But
no, big time. The only person that's making money off this is somebody who filled the freezer and got 50 grand, or a guy who was out in the West Coast saying that, oh, I'm going to build a museum next week. Those are the only people really making money on this. There are a few others. But very few.
Bigfoot does not pay the bills, especially if you're honest.
And truthfully, Joey, the biggest money grabber of all, out of anybody, he puts Tom, Biscotti to shame, is Peter Byrne. Peter Byrne lived for 25, 30 years, 40 years on other people's money doing this. And he was from your neck of the woods, Joey. So, I can understand how you feel. And, so you don't have to go. And here's the thing. The people who are making the real money, Joe, they don't go to conferences. You don't see the promoter from San Francisco. You don't see the hoaxer from Florida. Very rarely during times did you see the one of the 4 horsemen go to many. And frankly, John Green had to work. Rennie DeHinden certainly had to work. Grover Krantz worked. So the number of people that have made it a living, you can count on a couple of hands, maybe. So,
and not a big money maker.
And then Pete Wilson says, yes, it's a terrible investment, time and money. Absolutely. Well, not so much.
Agreed.
No, I don't think it's a terrible investment because you know what? A bad day squatching beats a beats a great day working. I'll tell you that much.
That is true. But you know, if as Peter is talking about it's as using it as a try to way to try to make money, he's exactly correct. It's a terrible investment.
And Ken goes, we need a lottery winner who's into Bigfoot. Absolutely. And Joey says, well, I've seen 3 Sasquatch in my 20 years. And I have said online, I will take anybody into my active areas and teach them what I've learned for free. Amen to that, Joey. I do that myself. I feel it's it's actually my honor to take somebody to them, not their honor. It's my honor. I feel flattered that they want me to take them out. And I've done that over the years. I don't charge people, they want to come along. I'll show them.
Yeah.
And I know people are against the paid expedition stuff, and I understand that. I get that.
Yeah.
But that is the 5 tenets. So when people ask, why do I talk about hoaxers sometimes? Why do I do that? Because it all comes back to educating the public. Now, there are followers. People say, well, it doesn't change anybody. But remember, I'm not pandering to the Bigfoot enthusiasts. I'm not pandering to the news media. I am talking to the general public. So somebody that's doesn't believe this or does believe this, they're getting the real information or as close as it is possible. I try to verify accuracy on everything that I do. So, that
thing we were talking about expert, you should never call yourself an expert, because then you become a self-proclaimed expert, and that's not good.
Well, let's step that back though. If I go to a festival, should I take offense if somebody calls me an expert?
No, it's a compliment.
Correct. And from the point of view to the general public, right? We are the experts, the people who've been out there doing the research.
Yes.
The term expert is a frame of perspective. For example, a plumber at a plumber's convention is not an expert. Correct? But a plumber fixing my broken leaky ass pipes, he's the expert. Right?
Yeah. Well, I was just
it's a matter thinking about this. Yeah. But I don't sit there and call yourself. To call yourself an expert is a little bit self-grandizing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Cryptidville says, I'm only an expert at being a smart aleck.
I think.
Somebody called me a
expert at that.
Well, Chris, somebody called me a smartass once. Somebody wanted to call me a smartass one time, and I had to turn around and correct them. I said, well, you know what? How can I be a smartass? Somebody just earlier called me a dumbass. What am I?
Oh man, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Exactly, expertise. Okay.
So tickled.
And Mick is right. Mick wrote in the chat, expertise is very much a relative term. Amen.
Yeah.
But I don't get bent out of shape if there's an article and says, oh yes, the Bigfoot experts came out and talked. Okay. And because there's always somebody that for whatever reason it chaps their ass. So, and 90% of the time it's because they didn't get asked, but it is what it is. That's just a term of, reference. So don't take offense. I don't call myself.
That's the thing though. Like when you do a news article or a live interview, if a news reporter lists you as a self-proclaimed expert, that's saying one thing. That's saying something. That's negative. That's negative. It really is. But of course, Steve, you'll never hear him say it, but he is an expert, and he will not claim that title, but he is.
I will not.
And yeah, and I think you know, if you want to see something interesting, watch a show about Loch Ness. That National Geographic special, that was good. They don't have dumbasses on
it was good, but
NatGeo.
it was good, but the ending pissed me off.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, it's their show.
Because I debunked the Preston photo on that show, and they didn't air it. They didn't air it. But anyway, Joey says, sad thing, no matter what researchers do and try to prove these creatures are real until the government no longer stops us, we'll never be able to prove. Well, I don't think the government has been. And unfortunately, I agree,
Good
Joey.
point, Joey.
I think the government takes obviously he knows. He knows that, you know, they ignore it because the logging industry. I mean, if that would do a lot, I think.
Well, we could get into a long conversation about a conspiracy with the government, but you could see that probably.
I mean, Chris said they cut out the kilt scenes. That's right.
Cut out the kilt scenes.
Yeah, the Loch Ness special. Yeah. It was very breezy. It was very breezy. Very breezy.
It takes a man to wear a skirt.
Hey, now you're going to get the Scots mad at us. I apologize on behalf of Squatch-D for all our Scottish friends and fans.
Oh man, you know, our local community is full of Scots people because we all come from over there somewhere. You know, the closest big city is called Glasgow, and it's sister city to Glasgow, Scotland.
Yep. Well.
And we actually have those Highland games too here. So those are pretty cool.
Well, believe it or not, we have Scottish games here too.
I watched the guys throw the big poles and stuff like that. You know, there's some big muscled up dudes grab what looks like a freaking telephone pole.
Hey, Chris. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
I'm glad you clarified that. I thought they were throwing the people from Poland around. You know,
no,
they were throwing poles.
No. They pick up a pole about the diameter of a telephone pole, and I think it's like 12 feet tall. And they pick this thing up and throw it. And that's the guy that you want on your side in a bar fight. If he's throwing a telephone pole, 30 feet.
Very true.
Hey man, you're on my.
Well, anyway, hey Chris, let's roll the Squatch-D University. In case people don't know, over at squatchdetective.com, I have something called Squatch-D University, and I figured I'd throw a little film out here tonight, just as some interesting stuff, and for anybody that's new to the field, just take a look, and you'll understand that not everything is a Bigfoot. Well, a couple of more comments from the peanut gallery. Oh my God, you guys are funny tonight. We're funny every night. Chris, you there? Yeah, there he is. And
I was tickled to death. I love it. Oh, heck, that video looks familiar.
That video looks familiar. Yes, it does.
Yeah, I think he showed the one with the mice thermal, and I was laughing about that. Of course, I had my mic muted while we were watching it, but it is hilarious because I can imagine the amount of racket that those mice were making in the leaves when they hit the ground, and I just imagine everybody there thinking, "Oh my God, what's that?"
You know, and the now the sound clips, I purposely did not put what they were. So does anybody now? There was a video. I'm gonna just run it back a little bit. Let's go back to here, right here. So let's go there. What is this sound? Okay, does anybody know what that sound is? We got a bunch of people in Facebook, YouTube. Throw it out there. Well, it's not the badger. The badger is eating. That's that little.
Yeah. Don't let it throw you off. He got me too.
Yep. So that sound is actually a fox. There was a
and for the first time, be fair to everybody, the first time I watched this and I saw it, I thought, is that a badger? And then I heard that noise and I'm thinking, oh, I've heard that, but we don't have badgers here. So I had to ask Steve. I said, what was that animal in the in that one video? Was that a badger? Yeah, but it's a fox making the noise.
Now the next grouping of sounds is this. Now, if anybody heard, there's an owl in there.
Yeah.
There's an owl in that. What is the other noise going on there? Does anybody figure out? And Cryptoville says owls. Everybody agree with that? I hope so, because what that is actually a barred owl mating call. And when they go, they sound like they could sound very primatal, especially if you don't have one in the background hooting, and you just hear them go. So. That is all owl, nothing but owl in that second one. So that's the that is the sounds.
There's your.
So.
And that's a pretty good illustration of the tree bends there that are not Sasquatch related. That's ice related.
Bill says, yep, they can sound like laughing monkeys at times. Absolutely. I remember the first time I heard that. I was like, what the? And my son, who is fish and wildlife management, and actually he should be just about done with school now. Not school, excuse me, the Ranger Academy. That's coming up real soon too. Can't believe it.
Cool.
The first time I heard that, what the hell is that? And hey, Dad, those are owls mating. What? Yeah, look. And he plays it right on his phone. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'll be, Fred scared me, Steve. Yes, it did. Fred was there that night. Hello, Fred. You remember?
Hey, Fred.
Hey, Fred. Words hurt.
Yeah, the small animals can get you.
I have not read Tim Renner's West Coast Wild. I'll have to check it out. But okay, So I think
the small animals can trip you up, because I had a squirrel that almost caused me a heart attack a couple years ago. I was 6 miles back in the woods, and there was no logging road. We're talking, this was all traveling through crunchy leaves in the woods, and that was in a really, really good. And I just knew, I was gonna have a sighting or find some evidence somewhere. And about 10 feet behind me, unbeknownst at the time, there was a squirrel in the tree, and he jumped out of the tree and landed in the dry leaves, and he made about flips and bounds through the leaves towards me. And it scared me to death. I like to have had a heart attack right there on the spot, because I thought, oh, Ned. And I turned around, and there's a dang squirrel.
Well, I can tell you, I had a time when I was in Alabama. We hear this, this thing sounded like a tank coming through the friggin' woods. It was an armadillo. And they're just an armored possum is all they are. But boy, are they loud.
Yeah.
So we have let's see. How about Sasquatch mimicking owls? Well, unless you see it, it's an owl.
Yeah.
Once you see it do it, it's an owl. I had a guy, I hear one day. This was in Kentucky, actually, with a guy.
Yeah.
That was the same guy you got the phone call from years later that we talked about that time.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's a Bigfoot imitating an owl. Like, how the hell do you know? That's an owl.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just put up these false assumptions, and unless you see it.
Well, that's the thing, It's possible they could imitate sounds. It's possible, but unless you see it doing, how do you know?
Right? Exactly.
You don't. You can't know.
We're gonna get to Joey's comment in a second. Tax says chipmunks are the worst. Yeah, they can be noisy bastards too. Non-expert tip for the day. Non-expert tip. White-tailed deer living in squatch areas will sometimes drag their front feet on the ground to sound like a person walking in leaves. Yeah, well, you know what? If you get a lot of leaf litter, it doesn't matter what's going on. It sounds loud. And that is, and that is a problem I have in New York. We get a lot of reports of saying, well, I heard these footsteps walking around me, but nothing else to go with it. I've heard, reports, people reporting, well, I heard the tree knock, or I heard a scream. And there's so many, if they're not a hunter, if a hunter comes back to me and says, I heard something I've never heard before, and I've been a hunter for 25 years and blah, 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 right. I'm going to listen. Right. And
in Kentucky, turkeys are the worst.
Right. Yes.
I was 3 to 4 miles deep, and I was
hello, nephew.
And
I got to throw out a hello to my nephew, Jamie. Hello, nephew.
And these turkeys would start walking around, and you're hearing bipedal footsteps. Okay, yeah, it's a turkey is bipedal.
Very true. Yep.
And you're like, where are you at? So you're sitting there really quiet, and then before you know it, he walks out from behind a tree.
Yep. Now, Joey asked us to tell people how to tell the difference between ice or a Bigfoot pulling over a tree. Well, very, very simple. A tree bend takes weeks, months to form. If a Bigfoot pulls a tree, it's going to snap it. If it's a bend, that means something fell on the end of it. Now, you can sit there and argue and say, well, a Bigfoot probably placed something on it. Well, again, if you didn't see it, how can you just flippantly say it? Again,
right.
Remain objective. That is huge. A tree bend is caused by nature because it takes time. I don't think a Sasquatch stood there for 2 weeks for that to form. I don't think a Sasquatch would stand there
Yeah.
for a month or even a day. So that is really
Yeah.
important. When a Sasquatch exerts force on a tree, it snaps it right off. So, or and then you have the smaller branches. Hey, I've seen a tree with a 4-inch diameter be broke and twisted. Now that
right,
is a Sasquatch. That is a Sasquatch because of the twist.
The twist, right. The twist actually gives you something to go by. You're like, that's interesting, because it's just a broken branch. Something could have fell on it from above, or some kid could have been climbing up the tree and broke it off.
Now,
but if it's twisted, that's something else.
Yep. Now, when did we first see? This is very interesting stuff here, because when did we first hear about tree twists? It was in a media report. The first time that was ever reported in print about twisted trees. You got it right on the money.
Mm-hmm. Jacko. You could twist a stick by wrenching it, break it.
And Derek Reynolds says it doesn't take snow weeks to bend a tree. No. Snow doesn't bend necessarily trees. Ice does. When the ice forms on the tree, it gives it weight. It bends it over. Bends are caused by ice damage, not by snow. That's why trees drop their leaves, so they don't do that. But unfortunately, when you have freezing rain, not snow, freezing rain, it can cause those tree bends, or something can fall on a tree and then cause that to happen. And yes, it does take weeks. Week at the shortest. So depending on the thickness of the tree. The Iroquois used to make saddles out of it, make saddle trees, and they used to have to tie them down for a month. So, and yes, heavy wet snow will bend, but here's the difference. Heavy wet snow comes off of the tree eventually. So it's not on the tree for that long of a period of time. They will bend the tree, but the snow falls off, the tree bends back into its original position, or pretty close to it. Right? Ice stays on trees and really weighs it down, and it takes longer for the ice to dissipate because of the mass of the ice. Snow has very light mass. Ice has very dense mass. So there you go. I'm not saying that snow will not bend trees. It will bend trees, but it will not cause tree bends normally. Unless, you're talking about a foot of snow on a tree that, there are exceptions to the rule, but.
Yeah, I guess it would depend a lot on where you live. Like, if you're.
And it's true. You can have snow come down and break.
A year.
But you see, you just made a great statement. I have a bunch of broken tree limbs in my yard due to snow. Broken, not bent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can it cause it? Yeah. But again, it still satisfies my argument, but try pulling a tree down. You can do it. Try a little one. Hold it down for an hour. It's going to come back up.
Well, for me personally,
when stand there, people going to understand. Is a Sasquatch going to stand there for an hour holding a tree down? No. And when I was getting out in my area looking around, I would not really look for tree bends. I would look for twists and breaks. Right. And, they got to be, around a certain level, typically above where a human could reach and grab it or climb up to it. But you could see the twist in the break. And that seems to me, I think, is a good indicator that they're marking something. I don't know why they do it. Anybody can tell you they think why they think it is, but the truth is, nobody knows. But it was a certain area that they stayed in. I noticed these tree twists around that area. So that was maybe something to do with it. Maybe not. I don't know. It could just been the young ones, doing it to at mom and dad or something. I mean, a lot of people don't understand. Most tree bends, Pete just said most tree bends are very thin trees, not thick ones. Right, but it still takes time. I mean, I'll give you a good example. Back in 2003, I had come across a tree that had been downed with a 13.5-inch print about 6 feet away from it. And the tree had been broken and twisted almost at the base. And there was a very small piece of that tree jutting out of the break. And it was no more than a quarter of an inch in diameter, that little shard. And I tried to break it off and bend it. And I did all my force to get that sucker to bend. And then as soon as I let up on it, it just boing right back up. So people don't understand. Trees are not necessarily flexible. It takes time for them to become flexible. So, anyway, so I think it's time we should get to, sorry, somebody, I left my Facebook up and somebody messaged me. And of course they messaged me at the most incredibly wrong time to do it. So like I do a show.
Yeah. Just put them up on the thing if they can, message the show. That way we could put it up on the thing.
Yep. No. It had nothing to do with the show. So,
okay. But you know what? I think that is an interesting subject, though.
I do too. But again, Pete, you are convincing me that how much weight is on those trees, and how long is the snow on those trees? I'm not saying snow does not bend, but it's on there for a period of time, and it's a tremendous amount of weight.
Yeah.
People think that Sasquatch can just walk up to these trees, go, and they stay that way. We know that's not true. We know that's impossible. You just don't bend it on one bend and it stays that way. And that's what these people think. That's why, look at all the tree bends.
Yeah, the tree has to be bent for a period of time before it's like that.
Yep.
And I'll never forget, I was up at Poland Springs, Maine one time, and they had like 3.5, 4 feet of snow on the side of the road. And I asked one of the little guys there, I said, "Hey man, did you guys get this much freaking snow? 4 feet of snow or what? And he's like, "Oh, no. That was like, 5 or 6 snows combined. It's going to stay like that until it warms up in the spring."
Yep.
So, and something like that where you got snow buildup over a period of time that would hold a tree down like all winter.
Yep.
Yeah, I could see that. It could cause a bend. But usually, it's going to be ice, especially, if you're not living in Canada or the extreme upper northern U.S.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting fact. And Derek says, right, or the trees are bent over and pinned down. But again,
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But what makes people think a Sasquatch is doing that? How about Mother Nature? I mean, there's a lot of tree fall. I see a lot of stuff falling in the woods, even around my house. I hear stuff falling all the time. So what makes people think that just a sec? Because the problem is we have too many people going, look at all these tree bends. Oh, it's got to be a Sasquatch. Find any prints? No. Have any sightings? No. Smell anything? No. There's nothing to corroborate. Tree breaks, all of a sudden quantify as Bigfoot evidence. They don't. They don't qualify as Bigfoot. I hate to be a party pooper, but I have to remain objective. That if I didn't see a Sasquatch do it, aside from a footprint, and even that we have to scrutinize the footprint. Is it real? Is it not? Is it misidentification? You have to scrutinize everything. And if just because you think, it must have been a Sasquatch. Even if a Sasquatch has been seen there that night, you can't say they did that.
Yeah.
Right? You can take what the witness says. Well, I saw a Sasquatch bending a tree over. Okay, then that's something. But if you don't see it, we have a rule. We have a rule. If you didn't see it, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The it's a tough one, but you know, you gotta stay firm in your conviction.
Now, Joey
it brings
makes a
out
point.
the
Joey makes a point about, you know, trees shoved into the ground hard enough and deep enough to keep a tree bent.
yeah.
Different story.
Yeah, that's something
different
else.
story. That's something else. So you have to. I'm not saying every tree bend is not a Sasquatch, and I'm not saying every tree bend is a Sasquatch. You have to look at it, but there's too many people, you know, saying, "Oh, this X formation, this that." There's so much fall. Unless you saw a Sasquatch do it, unless you get footprints around the freaking tree, you can't legitimately say it was a Sasquatch. And there's too many people putting that crap out there as evidence. That's stuff we should keep amongst ourselves, but not put out there to the public. Like, hey, look, there's a Sasquatch here. Look at all the tree bends. Drives me insane. You know, have something else with it. A footprint. Like I said, I saw that tree break in a twist. Different. So,
yeah. This is Bigfoot or the news articles from the late 1800s and early 1900s.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, they did. They are pretty interesting. Yeah, those early newspaper from the late 1800s and early 1900s. But you know, you got to look at those through a skeptical lens too, because sometimes those guys are just writing a story to sell papers, and
very true.
So you know, you got to be skeptical. Take it with a grain of salt. But when they start talking about a wild man,
hey Chris, like that doesn't happen today.
Yeah. Well, we better not go there.
Yeah. I see X all the time here in Montana. You know, when I read that quick, that could have read something else. You know, and Lisa writes, hello, Lisa, writes, I've seen an oak tree bent over from heavy snow that stayed that way for years, not sold in the tree bent stuff. So, yeah, you know, there is so much that I think that I don't know when the tree break, you know, the tree bend madness started. It was, you know, when I got into this, it was always tree breaks, not tree bends.
Yeah.
And then somebody, you know, what happens is everybody starts piling on the wagon. Well, that person saw a tree bend. No, that's, you know, and that's how it starts.
What I like to look for about trees is not a bend, and it's really not even that much of a break either. I like to see a pile. It looks like a brush pile that somebody dragged up in the middle of the forest with no tool mark on them, and you know, just a big pile, like somebody made a brush pile in the middle of the woods for some reason. And then you look at those trees and stuff that's piled up there, they weren't cut with a chainsaw. They've been broken off. They've been uprooted, stuff like that. Now that's interesting to me.
How about pixie stick structures, or as Ken calls them, down arrows? I you know what? Unless you saw Bigfoot do it, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. It should be documented. It should be correlated with other researchers. It shouldn't be put out there as Bigfoot evidence. And that's what I would have done. I would have put stuff out there. Go, hey, did anybody ever see something like this? You know, that's what you need to do. Is that we've losing our objectivity, jumping to the conclusion that it's a Bigfoot without consulting.
Well, I find funny is the videos on YouTube and the guys saying, oh yeah, you see this X here? Well, what that means is the Bigfoot is marking this to say that you shouldn't go any further.
Marking their territory.
I'm like, okay. And we know this how.
Okay, and Peter Wilson says, I don't buy the supposed glyphs. Well, number one is a glyph. That whole terminology is incorrect. A glyph is something that is carved. A glyph is something that is carved. Read my blog. So a glyph is something that's carved. Oh, do we have any notable encounter stories that we should listen to or read about? Well, I always thought that the great question, and once we'll get through this question, and then we got to jump to the news because we got other stuff to analyze tonight. And I want everybody to put their thinking caps on because we got, I think 3 or 4 items on the news tonight, so we can look at. But do I think that there's any notable encounter stories that to listen to or read? I really the case that really sticks in my mind is the Brian Gosling case, aka the incident at Aber Road. If anybody saw Small Town Monsters and saw The Beast of Whitehall, Brian Gosling also has a book out as well that you can get on Amazon. It's not a very big read, but it's his take on the encounter. And here was an off-duty police officer hearing about all this stuff going on. His father was the police sergeant, and he was off one night, so he sat on Aber Road, and there was a state police officer that was across from him. And he had his window rolled down. It was, I'm trying to think exactly when, I believe it was August. So it was a warm night. And they started hearing something. Well, all of a sudden he noticed the state trooper took off really fast. He just peeled out. Well, a few minutes later, Brian keeps hearing this noise. And next thing you know, there's something moving in front of his vehicle at some distance. So Brian exits his vehicle, pulls his service revolver or a handgun. I don't know if it was a service revolver. He wasn't in uniform. He was off duty. He wasn't in the patrol car. Sometimes, it's portrayed in the media that he was in his patrol car in uniform. He was not. So he pulls his, like on Mysterious Encounters with Autumn Williams, they portrayed him in a uniform. They also used that same footage in Monster Quest because it was the same production company, so they used stock footage. So he pulled his service revolver and he had his flashlight in his other hand, and he put the flashlight on the creature. The creature kind of turned back at him, kind of covers its eyes with its hands, and then turned around and let out a little bit of a bellowing groan, and then turned and walked into the woods. I've seen Brian tell that story, 17 years ago, when I first met him. And I saw the reaction, how he breathed after telling that story. And it really ruined him for a long time. And, I always talk about trauma in the Bigfoot witness. It traumatized him. And, it's a very compelling story. Now he's kind of lived with it a bit for longer. Now he's way older. And if he's listening, hey, what do you mean about way older? So I really think that it's a phenomenal story. It sparked the media to really come down on Whitehall to see what was going on there. I believe it 1,000%. And if you ever met Brian, he's like one of those no nonsense types of guys. Except when he gets together with me and we start harassing one another, it's kind of funny. I said this to my girlfriend Sherry yesterday. I was like, I'm really blessed to know him. And you sit there and in the scope of life, you hear things locally, and here I can call him my friend, and that's quite an honor. And just amazing. But yeah, you can catch Small Town Monsters, Beast of Whitehall, and Brian is interviewed for that, so check it out. And he was also one of the judges last night on the Sasquatch calling contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I emceed it, and we, it's just a big fun event, and people shouldn't have to worry about it that much. And of course, it was a great source of getting people to talk too. So that's
Yeah.
that's really my compelling story that I really think is like one of the best stories out there. There's a few other ones too that are really compelling. Chris, how about you?
Oh, I like that one too, Steve. But the best ones, I don't, are men, and I don't really want to talk about those
Okay.
for me. But I enjoy a lot of the older ones, the old stories, and some of the sightings that we've had from guests on the show, the past shows when we were doing over on Blog Talk and the other networks. Some of those guys, had really good, encounters. My favorite was probably with the Mapinguari and with
yeah.
I can't think of his name, Steve. I'm blank.
Ray. When we had
well,
Ray
anyway,
on.
yeah, Ray, yeah, and it was really good.
The Mapinguari,
really
yeah. We had the. You know what? We're gonna have to twist Ray's arm to come on and talk on the TV show about the Mapinguari.
Yes, I would like to get him on because that was such an interesting story that he told, and his, he being lost in the jungle by himself.
Amazing story.
I hope he finishes that dang book because I want to read it. I want to read every minute of that encounter.
Mr. Mike, get on the case with him getting that book finished.
Please. Yeah.
Yes. Because that would make even a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we had Dan Gordon on, the late Dan Gordon, God rest his soul. He was another Whitehall police officer that had a sighting years later. And I remember really sitting at a table with Brian and Dan. I remember it was like one of these aha moments when Dan was finally coming forward and admitting he was the other police officer that had the sighting. And then he shot a look over to Brian and said, in all those years, Brian, I thought you were crazy. And it was just like one of those.
Oh, man.
Do you have any nighttime investigations planned, James? Yes, I do. And I'm working on some more for late October.
Yeah.
So, but I don't really divulge too much information only to my team. When we go out. We try to go out quietly, without any date specific, unless people are going to participate, because we don't like people salting areas, putting tracks out there, phonies and stuff like that. So operational security is, very important.
Yeah. And I may be working on something for the early spring of 2020, Steve, because, I can't really get out in the woods like I did before now. But I have got an investigation that I've been wanting to do, and I'm thinking I'm planning it. And that is to get about a 16-foot flat bottom boat and float silently down Green River through the area to where those Bigfoot sightings have been happening over through the Mammoth Cave region.
And your new nickname is the Skipper.
Yeah, Skipper. Well, I don't know about that, but I can step in and out of a boat without much effort. So my idea though is to float down silently downstream at night with a decent thermal rig where I can cover both sides of the bank. And I know these creatures, when they're in this area, they stay near the river. And I think at nighttime would be a great time to maybe catch them off guard. I don't know. But that's probably up spring 2020. Yeah. If I'm still around, knock on wood.
All right there, Admiral.
Yeah.
So anyway, Chris, we better get to the news because it's already after 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
We better get to the news. We've chatted an hour before even getting to the meat of the night, which is good.
Sorry, folks.
No. Here we go. Here's the news. First up is a turkey hunter allegedly getting a video of 2 Sasquatch. Yes, this one posted up on the net rather recently, but is actually 5 years old.
Yes, I was out here hunting, and I'm so startled right now. I think I may have stumbled across a Bigfoot. I'm just not sure. Here, let's see if you guys can tell. I'm so startled right now. I'm so startled. Yeah, it looks like there's 2 Bigfoots. I don't know. It looks like he's got a dead deer in his arm or something. I'm not sure. Oh my God, I think he sees me. I have to go.
Yes, folks, this one appears to be a no-brainer. I mean, as what we can clearly see here is 2 hunters walking out of the woods. You can clearly see the man moving to the right has a flesh-colored hand, and he's carrying a sack in his left hand, not a deer carcass. He puts the sack down, removes his face covering, and takes a towel to wipe his face off. Yes, here it is again in slow motion, but there is no big thinking on this one. The woman's reactions are quite over-dramatized, and the only one that seems to be fooled by this particular piece of footage is Thinker Thunker. I'm going to jump in here real quick. Yep, this one, it was like really a no-brainer, but we'll talk more after the end of the news. Yes, next we have up a trail cam photo circulating around Facebook, allegedly taken on September 6th, 2019. And here it is. And it's an eyeball looking into the lens of a camera. What could it be? But there's something wrong with this photo here, I notice almost immediately. And no, it's not a character from Lord of the Rings. The camera's orientation is not proper. It's actually... camera's actually was on its side, but what we're seeing here is most likely a canid because you can see some sclera in the eye and the ear seems to go up into the air. So that's what I think this is here, not a Bigfoot. And finally, tonight has the lost reel of the Patterson Gimlin film been found. According to our good friend Jay Michael, who posted on September 11th, filmmaker John L. Johnson bought the reel at an estate sale. However, the film is in degraded and very bad condition. Well, if you want to hear more about that, over at Spreaker.com under Forker Media, Mr. Johnson was interviewed by our good friend Sean. So, what will this bring for the mystery? Who knows at this point? Well, folks, that's the news. Well, there we have the news, folks. So anyway, let's get to it.
The turkey hunters. Well, when I seen the footage, the girl or the woman showing the other 2 hunters walking out, I'm looking for the Bigfoot. I mean, is it over there by the hunters or where?
Well, exactly. To me, I think it was. Here's the funny thing. I think she did it purposely, not to hoax anybody. I think she did it purposely just to jest, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it has almost 500,000 views since 2014. Yeah, there's no Bigfoot. There's a couple hunters. I mean, it's very clear that, you can see the guy lifts his, thing up and grabs a towel and wipes his face and then putting the towel back when the video shut off.
Yeah.
So, and yep, Cryptoville says, all I'm going to say is consider the source. That's right. It's on YouTube.
Oh, man.
And P. Wilson also says, welcome to social media.
Yeah, that's right, Pete. Yeah, that was like that was not even good enough to be called a hoax. You know, that's just
Yeah. Right. I mean, it
I
was like,
think she was probably just joking around. You know, I'm surely to God she was just joking around.
Yep. But then again, the description of it, who knows? I mean, I stumbled on a Bigfoot eating, you know, a Bigfoot. There was a couple of them in there. I mean, it's just a crap video. No brainer. But the funny thing is Thinker Thunker does this whole long, elaborate video trying to say how it was a Sasquatch, and he believed it was picking up a baby when it picked up the towel. I'm like,
oh no.
Oh,
yes.
Well, you know, I made a joke. I was on the 40 and slip earlier, and I made a joke that, you know, I think that the Thinker Thunker might have gone to the Facebook Find Bigfoot School of Film Analysis. Everything is a Bigfoot.
You know, I don't think we agree on this one. If he's thinking that's Bigfoots, because those are definitely turkey hunters, and for one thing, you know, I don't believe. Of course, you know, women are empowered in this age, but I don't see women going out and turkey hunting by themselves much here in Kentucky. Now I don't know where she's from, but usually they'll go with their husband because their husband wants to get them into the turkey hunting stuff, you know. And they're going to usually have a buddy, or they'll take their wife's brother or whatever with them. And I just didn't see any Bigfoot in there. I saw a family turkey outing.
Either that, or, you know, if they were even turkey hunting, they could have been poaching. Who knows?
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah,
I don't know. And you know, you got to also consider the time of year. It was June 19th, so it could have been warm, which would explain why
turkey season. Mm-hmm.
Well, it could also explain why he moved his what I believe was a balaclava and wiped his face. You know,
yeah,
you know, because you know, June, it's warm, so
yeah. Yeah, I think these hunting, I believe turkey's hunting season, I think, is in April in Kentucky, but, you know, I'm not sure. I'd have to look. They do change it sometimes.
I don't know. Well, she said this season, so who knows when it was done.
Right.
What would MK say about this?
Well, no comment.
Yep. Yeah, the body.
Yeah, Joy's on it. Yeah, exactly.
I just you can see.
Yeah, you know, I'm not. I don't claim to be an expert, but I've never seen a Sasquatch wearing a real tree camo hat, ball cap,
or kind of walking like it.
I don't know. Oh man.
So,
but you know, everybody that turkey hunts, usually they'll either use a ghillie suit, or they'll take like a blind, like a blanket with them that cover them up. It's like a just, you know, it's got leaves and crap sewed on it, and it's cover you up, camouflage you so the turkey can't see you. Because those turkeys, man, those dudes, they have evil eyes. I mean, they could see you like a mile away. And it's very difficult to kill a turkey. It really is. You know, if you make one move, man, they're on you. They're gone.
I don't know. The Pilgrims didn't seem to have much problems.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. You know?
That's how a Bigfoot stays hidden. They wear camo.
Yeah. Oh man!
All right, off to the next.
But
I think we can put this one to rest, because this is a pretty much of a no-brainer. Next one. Here we go. I'm going to put this was the original, and of course, obviously you can see that this is not in the right perspective, because so that's a tree, but it's going from left to right. So what I did was just give it a quick makeover, and now we got the right perspective. And now in looking at this, I know where are we here? There was a comment on that. And Derek might thought it might have been an elk, but the problem I have is that the eyes appear to be lighter in color, the pupils, and the eyes also appear to be forward facing, whereas an elk are more to the side because elk are not predators. These look like predators' eyes to me. You can see the nose and the eyes are set there. I'm thinking this could be a canid because on cats you don't see their sclera, and other things too is cats' eyes are vertical, not horizontal. Really kind of hard to tell if this is vertical or horizontal, but the sclera kind of tells me that this may not be a feline, but what we could be looking at is a yote. Now, it wouldn't be a fox because a fox is the only, I believe it's the only canine. There might be some subspecies of foxes, but fox eyes are also vertical. That's why their eyes look different than dogs, because they're vertical like a cat. But to me, this looks like a dog. I mean, I don't know. It could be a fox, but it looks like it's just checking out the camera that's on the ground, going by, giving it a quick sniff, and away it goes. So that's what I'm thinking. I
don't know. The way it's turned, it's hard to make anything out of it for me. Could it be a hog?
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
I don't know.
Because there looks like there's just too much hair on it. It looks like a darker color. So, and the eyes look very light. So to me, that looks like a yote, just because of the lighter colored eyes.
Well, I think it's interesting. I can't really tell what it is, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, but
I don't think it's a Bigfoot.
No, I don't think so either because, well, number one, it's pretty close to the ground because you can see that camera is on the ground. It fell, or it was placed on the ground that way, and maybe it was it fell over. I don't know, but it looks like it's kind of facing upward a little bit. So whatever it is, it's definitely facing upward. I ran it through some photo forensics, and it does not appear to be a photoshopped picture or anything like that. So to me,
I wonder if there were any photos before and after this, because that would probably tell the story.
Well, if somebody wants to put controversy out there, why put all the photos out there?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know what it is. I'm just going to put this one out there and let people mess with it for a while. So, not a Bigfoot. Nope. Unfortunately, not a Bigfoot. So.
Oh. It is interesting.
First time here. Does anyone do image forensics? Well, I do. I use a site, and anybody can use it. It's called Photo Forensics, FOTO Forensics.com. And in fact, I'm going to put that in the chat for everybody. Oops. I'm going to give you a little I'm going to give everybody a photoforensics.com. And you can do a level analysis on stuff like that too. It's really a cool site. You can do ELA. So this is the actual site right here. And what we can do is actually watch this. If I can find it. There we go. Beautiful. We'll go into the Precious Trail Cam, and we'll just take the, we'll do this one, and we'll go upload file and watch this. Boom. So now we can actually look at the ELA. So,
cool.
Yeah, that wasn't photoshopped. So, and the other cool thing is you can look at hidden pixels, which on trail cameras you usually get hidden pixels. And the reason why is because they have to source for the little bar in there. You can get the metadata from that. And as you can see, this is off my computer, so
Yeah.
right. So that was the one I changed. But if you want to, we can go back and do the original one, which is this one. And up. See. And on this one, the ELA is a little bit different, but you see all that? That's normal for a trail camera. Because I checked it with some other trail cam photos, and the hidden pixels. You know, you can see that there's a little bit. You look at the metadata, and you know you get a little more interesting. You get all that information. So
yeah. Huh. Well, that's interesting.
Yep. So that's a real quick way to see if something is bad. As you can see, this is added in, so this always comes up a little like, you know, like a phony, but it's not. It's actually put on as the image is processed, I believe. It's not part of the actual picture, so that's why it looks a little different. But if it was Photoshopped, you would see a bunch of error levels right there. So very interesting, but there's a quick tutorial on that for folks. Let me go back to the
very cool.
Yep. And I agree, Joey, it does look like a young coyote. So so yeah, that's one of the sites I use to do stuff like, you know, exactly that. Let's take a look at this from that type of level. Yeah, I agree. You always try to use originals. Sometimes you don't get the originals on Facebook, but we try. We try all the time.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And hey, there's Jeff. How you doing, Jeff? He says it's Yote. And yeah, and the tellaway is if it was a feline, we wouldn't be able to see sclera, but there's sclera there. So, and that's the white of the eye. So, okay. And our other story of the night. Oops, let me just do this real quick. Boom. Is the story from Jay Michael, who actually told the story about the John L. Johnson actually going to an estate sale and buying in the estate sale he found an original reel. You know, one of the reasons the question is the original on-camera film disappeared in the early 70s and no one knew where it was. So while the images you see of this film were taken from first, second, third generation copies, because they are copies, the images do not have clarity as if they were the original film. This presented a problem for researchers because they needed the best quality to study the film and determine if there was anything in the film that would prove either way that a subject is. So we go on and on and on.
Well, that is interesting.
And it goes on. It is now 2019, and my friend John L. Johnson got lucky. He found a film canister in an estate sale and bought it for pennies. The canister was labeled only as Bluff Creek. Bluff Creek is where the famous film was alleged to have been shot. John notified me of this find and myself, along with others, and encouraged him to open the canister and take the contents to Kodak so it could be verified the canister contained just another copy or the revered original itself. John did open the canister and did discover that it contained a film. He also determined several things about the contents, which included that it appeared to be a film reel originally from within a camera itself.
Huh. You mean it hadn't been processed?
Well, what he's saying is that so John took it to an expert today, and he revealed that he had found it is indeed the original film. However, it is so degraded and brittle, it is unlikely that it can ever be salvaged to determine anything worthwhile from it.
Oh.
Now, I know there are some ruminations in the in the well, that's what I thought so too, Joey.
Yeah.
And Cryptoville asked a question. Why is somebody doing PR for John L. Johnson, and what is the motive behind them doing such? I think because Johnson wants MK to know he has something MK doesn't. I don't know. I just find it all coincidental. So I don't know.
Well,
there are some people.
I-
There are some people that feel very strongly that this is not a. This is what J. Michael is saying this, but he's only saying what he's been told. And there are people in the crypto community saying that this story may not be true. So we'll have to see how all this flushes out, because there are mysteries. And I always say this to folks. There are mysteries that cannot easily be solved today, tomorrow, next week, next month. Sometimes it takes days, months, years for the truth to come out. And that includes the Patterson film, unfortunately. And this is just going to be another little side note of interest in this many 52 years of this. And again, and of course our listeners, our watchers, our audience, very sharp folks. It seems rather questionable. Agreed. Suspect, especially if the quality is that degraded. That's an easy out. Well, the film was just so degraded that who knows? Who knows? I'd be curious to see which estate did he buy the film from.
Right.
We have to look at it from the aspect of, could this have been Eric Beckford's estate? Because Eric Beckford claimed he had a copy or one of the originals.
Yes.
Who knows?
He did.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? A mystery wrapped in a conundrum, stuffed in an enigma. Well, it's stuffed somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that Patricia Patterson had the original. She had a copy. And I think, who was it that had the original? Was it DeAtley or somebody?
Al Del Atley.
Yeah, Del Atley. They
when I'm talking about, we have a little lag in the chat from what people are saying, because we're on a delay because we can delay stuff sometimes. And it says that when I was talking about Eric, the original Nutcase. Oh yeah. If you listen to a show I did 13 years ago, because I want to make a quick note that we're actually past our anniversary date. Our anniversary date on this show is September 24th. And the first show aired in, you guessed it, 2006. So this show is 13 years old. 13 years old. So, yep, we just did our third. But 13 years ago, I believe it was December, I had John Eric Beckford on the radio program to go toe-to-toe with me. And, boy, that was one hell of a show. Anyway, there's a bunch of laughs.
Yeah, you got quite a few clips off that show that you used to play. I wish you still had some of those.
I do. I still have them. I'm going to fit them in a video somewhere down the line. I'll find a picture of him. Hey, don't worry.
That was
he will,
hilarious.
He will make an appearance, And, I never had really a problem with the guy. Yeah, he was nutty. Sometimes he bothered a lot of people, but I'll never forget the question. Did you ever talk to Bigfoot? And it must have been wonderful. and of course, Jeff writes, I think your first show was like in 2006 or 2007. It was 2006. No, actually, Actually, maybe about 40, not 500 though. No, not prior to the show, after the show. Well, you know, I didn't like the way, you know, you. And then I had him on like a couple of months later with Sean Forker to debate him. And Sean Forker and him really got mean with one another. And I think Sean Forker was the first one ever to force John Eric Beckford to hang the phone up and shut him up, which was kind of funny. That was Eric.
Well, you know, that's the thing that, you know, if you listen to some of the old shows that had Eric Beckford on there, you got to keep in mind he wasn't just a Bigfoot guy. He was like into everything. You know, it didn't really matter. He was into it, and he had different opinions. That some people may seem kind of far out to me. But, you know, with Bigfoot's wearing clothes and stuff like that, walking up and down the sides of the highway, wearing shirts.
I'll never forget that night. He says, yes, there's even a report of a Bigfoot wearing a ragged shirt and blue jeans on the side of a road. That was not a Bigfoot. That was a hippie.
Yeah, yeah.
That one got a lot of laughs.
I remember that. Yeah, that was a hippie. Oh.
In California,
yeah. But his, I looked for his blog here a while back. We had mentioned him, and I looked for his old blog, and it's gone now. I couldn't find it anywhere. If it's still online somewhere, you know.
But damn, he had a lot of dirt on there.
Yes, he did.
Dirt. He had no. I mean, oh.
But it was hilarious. You know, it wasn't really, you know. It was just hilarious dirt.
Lisa writes, sounds like he definitely was no expert. Oh, Lisa, he was an expert. He was the ultimate authority. Just ask him. After all, he admitted he talked to Bigfoot. And this is what Bigfoot told him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was quite the show. I remember when somebody called in and said, did you talk to Bigfoot? And if so, what did he say? And I'll take the answer off the air. And he hung up. And there was a pause, and I was like, you know, like he's not going to say he talked to Bigfoot. And then all of a sudden it goes,
yeah,
well, I can answer that. I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
I think that was the first time I've ever fallen out of my chair. Not the last, but the very first time I fell out of my chair was that.
Oh, he was a good one. I mean, he is missed. He is missed. You know,
that was radio gold. And then he got in a fight with that other researcher from Happy Camp, California, Tara Hockey.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the big fight? Holy
yeah.
Yeah, they went out and they got into a fist fight, I guess, over something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was one of the topics on his blog.
The original Woo before Woo was cool.
Yeah. I think you could probably credit Beckford with creating Woo.
No, actually, I believe the real grandfather of Woo was James Kiwani Lapsaritis. And Renee DeHinden had that famous quote from Sasquatch Odyssey, a film by Peter Van Puckhammer back in the I believe the late 90s. And he goes, and Renee goes, well, James Lapsaritis says he's had 256 Bigfoot sightings in his mind. That's like saying you've had sex 256 times but never got laid.
Gosh.
And Joey asked, did anyone wonder what happened to Jimmy Chilcott, who did the primate fingerprinting? Yeah, he retired. As did Dr. Wolf-Henner Fahrenbach as well. Those two guys kind of faded out. I mean, they were older guys back in the day when they put the information out, but they were older. I mean, you got to understand, legend meets science. When the hell was that out? That was like 2006, 2005, 2004, maybe even earlier. The documentary where all that stuff was showcased. I mean, good God, that was 15 years ago. That's an old piece of film now. Unreal. I mean, even my Monster Quest is 11 years old. That was 11 years ago. That's how long.
Yeah.
At that point, I'd been doing it 10 years. So that's how long I've been, at it. It just goes by real fast. So let's see what we got.
Wow. I was
anyway.
I was just perusing through Wikipedia here about John Eric Beckford, and he had a lot of stuff on here. A lot of stuff that yeah, and of course he was into Bigfoot and Sasquatch, also the Loch Ness Monster, extraterrestrial intelligence.
Well, yeah, he says he got a video. He says he got a film of Nessie.
The Loveland Frog. That's a new one on me.
No, I've heard.
Speculated. You've heard of that?
Loveland, Ohio. Yes, I've heard of the Loveland frogs. Yep.
Well,
the frog.
Beckford speculated that the Loveland frog might be the extinct 10-foot-long bipedal dinosaur, Coelophysis.
Syphilis.
Coelophysis.
Oh, I think you said syphilis. I'm going to say that's a horrible subject.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
I know. Sometimes people just, if the Loveland Frogman was actually syphilis, he'd be kind of a drip.
Yeah, area to avoid. Definitely.
Anyway, let's go to this little bit of a news article.
Okay.
My Stop the Lunacy thing is I did a blog post. I forget what exactly it was about. But I said, I'm back at it again. It was something I was talking about that. And this guy, Mr. John Hunter, on September 10th, 2019, left this comment. You people have no idea what you're dealing with. Okay. I've encountered these people since 2009 in a remote area of the Washington Cascades. I take them fruit I grow, jerky, candy bars. They are very intelligent, have a language, and respond to Native American Salish language here. Leave them alone, as they are okay with the way they live. They will see you before you even think they are anywhere near you. I will also see you before you even think I am near you. I will protect these people at all costs. What a friggin' nutcase.
That's kind of strange and disturbing.
Is that a threat?
I don't know. It kind of sounds that to me.
So anyway, I did a little research on this guy, and he is, we came up with this little gem that was posted on somewhere on a blog. And, I use his, his email address to track him down. And then this was posted 4 years ago, almost 5. I know where 2 clans live, and I have encountered them there once with others and several times solo. I leave them food and they leave me alone. I am in their areas for another reason, not them. I am in close as 30 feet from them, and they appear human to me. The male is approximately 7.5 feet tall. Let me put the brakes on there. They appear human. Okay. And the females near me were 6 foot tall. I'm a former state police investigator, so I only deal in what is real and facts. They have never threatened me and evidently recognize me as they follow me now, and when I'm probably they're probably looking for another handout. Okay.
Well, that would be different.
Well, I
wouldn't
like
expect them to be trusting.
I like the fact that he claims. Cryptophil writes, 30 feet, is that the best you got? Really? Well, here's the interesting thing. Okay, if you're a state police investigator, a former one, should you really be throwing threats out like that?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it sounds like to me. So here's yet another post that a couple of more posts actually, and this was about 6 months later, and another one, months later. The females have been closer than the males. One night I was standing by a tree speaking to one. We all saw looking at us about 75 feet away in Native American Salish. I walked away from the tree and turned as I heard something behind me and shined my light in the face of a female approximately 6 foot tall. Now, all of a sudden, he's got a close-up on. She looked straight at me and gave me, so now the story gets even better. He's talking about a female breast, light gray skin, 3-4 inches long. When she smiled at me, I will never forget how white her teeth were. The others with me were really shook up and had never said anything like that previously. The next day we left the area, and as usual, I left some beef jerky, candy bars, apples, and cookies. Going back soon to check on my girlfriend. And then here we are a few months later. I'm going back to interactions with these people. I brought them food again in August when we were followed into the location. I can now sense them when they are near, sometimes by smell and sometimes just a feeling. Since 2009, there had been a female following me for an unknown reason. So, anyway, yes, I can speak. Yes, they can speak as I heard them talk. It sounds like Native American or semi-Asian. They respond to Native American style, so I'll keep posting with updates. Remember, they will see you long before you see them. I have fooled them in the past, and they try to look for me, but maybe that is why they seem curious. Oh, so they can see you, but apparently you're part of the French. You're an effing Superman. That you can fool them, but none of us can.
Wow, that's pretty good. This guy is awesome. But why is he looking for a prom date with a female Sasquatch? I don't understand that.
So anyway, this was my response. And you're going to appreciate this one. So, okay, if you say so, bahaha, truths. They are very intelligent. 2, they probably see us before we see them. Sounds like, though, you're growing more than just fruit. Are you the same guy who stated he was a former police investigator in 2015? Sounds like you're making threats. Not what a state police investigator should be doing if you really are one. You have been making a lot of claims, and geez, no evidence of such claims. Hashtag stop the lunacy. So,
oh man.
So usually I
really, I don't know anything about any creatures from any other areas, but the ones around Kentucky don't seem to be very trusting. I mean, you can leave stuff out, but that's no guarantee they're going to take it.
Guess what? Here's Joey Lowell. Joey is from that area, and I've heard his encounter stories, and he is a very real guy. So I was 12 feet away from one of my first encounter, and it did not look human.
Yeah, Joey. Yeah.
Popo is now the poo-poo.
Peter.
Thank you for that one. Lisa says they had a love child. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I don't know, Lisa. I think he was looking for a date because he's checking out this female Sasquatch breast and stuff. It seemed to be bringing that up a lot. That's kind of odd to me. Seems kind of disturbing.
Yeah. I do. I don't know why she keeps calling me.
Sound like he's hopeful. Oh my. Well, from what I've seen, I wouldn't want to go out on a date with one. They don't look very nice.
Yep.
Not my.
Yep. I don't get it. But anyhow, so while we're on the whole lunacy thing, we do have a movie trailer to show. So here we apparently there is this gentleman that's been around for a little bit, and I look at him as kind of harmless, kind of out there. I don't bother him. I don't bash him. I think it's kind of like the Dallas thing a little bit, but not so much actually.
Yeah.
Dallas looks like Professor Meldrum sometimes, in comparison to this guy.
Okay.
So, But anyway, Stacy Brown did a documentary on him.
Oh,
So, OT writes, Albert Osmond remaking the works with John Hunter. Well, anyway, so this guy makes some of these folks. He has, well, watch the trailer and we'll talk about it afterwards. But
yeah, let's watch.
You know what? I'm airing this trailer because check it out. You might have a good time watching it. There's been a lot of stuff that I've watched that I thought I was going to hate.
Yeah.
But I ended up enjoying shooting Sasquatch, the one about the promoter, the hoaxer, and Dallas and Wayne. I thought I was going to hate that movie. I love that movie. It's funny as heck. So
yeah.
And so anyway, let's watch this trailer. It's about my good buddy there, Mr. Wayne Wilson. So here it comes.
What you are about to see is the story of C. Wayne Wilson, a middle-aged former wrestling promoter from Reidsville, North Carolina. Now, in case you missed it, Wayne sees monsters. I met Wayne online last year, and after a few conversations, I was captivated by his story.
And I'm not crazy. I mean, I've actually seen this. It was a vision that they gave me once.
Yeah.
But if it hadn't been as dark as it was, I could have got a selfie with him. Because he was right that close. I don't know how good you can see it, but you can see he's in there. He's got his head turned, and he's got a big smile on his face and a bag of fast food in his hand.
Now, most of the monsters he sees are Bigfoots or Sasquatch.
Wayne is not just a character. He is a character. Wayne is not pretending to be a character. Wayne is a character.
Wayne has even had a brush with the MIB, or Men in Black.
Really tall, black hat, black sunglasses, black suit, black slacks, shiny black shoes. Didn't look
crazy.
like nothing that should have been on this trail.
Show what?
Explore the possibilities. If you don't question everything, then what are you doing if you don't question it, you know?
So come along and join us on my journey with monsters.
Well, anyway, folks, I just want to apologize for our web watchers. Apparently, somebody after airing this show for 3 weeks on it, Breakers TV has just cut my show off, saying the content isn't allowed on Breakers TV. You will need to use Vaughn Live instead. Sorry.
Huh.
And I just noticed that they cut the show off on the website.
Wow. Well, it's not nice of them.
Dicks. Hey, I just want to put this out there. Breakers TV, you suck. So. And why isn't my content allowed? Why?
I don't know.
I don't know. So that kind of ticks me off. So it looks like I have a bunch of work to do now to get them back on the website. Because, frankly, I thought I was using Vaughn TV. But anyway, I apologize to folks that were watching on the web and got cut off. And that's why we had a dip in, I noticed we had a dip of about 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
And then they just came, some of them came back.
Oh.
So.
Yeah.
So. I don't understand why. But anyway, this looks like a very interesting movie for some laughs, I believe, because not only has he not only has he seen Men in Black and Bigfoot, but he's also seen the Dog Man, the Bird Man, and Anubis.
Wow.
Anubis. Now, why
Anubis?
And why the Egyptian god would be in North Carolina is beyond all my reaction. But
well, I don't know. That looks like a good area for mushrooms.
It sure does. So, but boy, that. So, well, luckily they only kicked me off. It looks like at 10:45. So some people got some of the show, but that just irritates the hooey out of me. So
well, maybe we'll figure out why they cut us off.
Yep. So Anyway, I'm sorry I had to go back to that. So
I'll watch this. I mean, if it comes out, I'll watch it. But
I'm going to go in. I'm going to go into, yeah. Well, it is out. I believe it's on Amazon. So you can catch it on Amazon Prime,
Okay.
I believe. So it came out, I think,
I'll check
a
it out.
week or so ago, or a week and a half ago. So My Journey with Monsters, with a film by Stacey Brown.
Well, I'll check it out. I've been watching. I recently got the Amazon Prime thing, and I really like it. If anybody's like doing the streaming thing and cut the Amazon Prime is good. Been watching that show. It was kind of like daggone it. You remember the old show Top Gear with Jeremy and the other guys? They got new. It's a couple of years old now. Called
that's Grand Tour.
The Grand Tour. Yeah. Yeah, that guy's name is Wayne.
Yeah. Well,
he looks like
Chris,
he's had a beer or two. Yeah, bud.
He's had. I think it's that time when we better start winding the show down because it's almost 10:55 almost. So it went by fast tonight.
Oh wow.
So
yeah.
So anyway, we'll get going here. See what's going on with the streaming. See if we can't fix the website stuff because they're really gonna piss me off. So anyway, on behalf of everybody here at Squatch-D TV, we want to make sure everybody has a great and safe week. We want to wish you all well. God bless. And of course, keep on squatching, folks. Catch you all next week here on Squatch-D TV, 9 p.m. Eastern, Sunday nights. Catch you all later.